Start right now.
Okay, welcome everyone. And my name is Jeff Fox with Technico. And today we are hosting a cybersecurity webinar with one of our partners, IO Integrations. And their CTO is Robert Trembath, who will be presenting today. Robert comes to us with 34 years of experience in planning, managing, and developing technology for several industry verticals. He has extensive knowledge in the business and in automation, and for the last 6 years has been extremely focused on cybersecurity and is bringing enterprise level solutions to the small and mid-sized business markets. Um, he dedicates a lot of his spare time towards his parents, his children, and also helping other people protect themselves from cyber criminals. So at this point, I would like to formally introduce you and have Robert take the floor.
Thank you for Jeff. I appreciate you having me for this and allowing me to talk to your group. Um, Again, my name is Robert Trimbath. I'm the CTO, CSO. That stands for Chief Technical Officer and Chief Security Officer. We've just recently brought in a new CISO, which stands for Chief Information Security Officer. He's a former Navy SEAL and a Navy and Army intelligence officer, and works on our Security Operations Center floor and manages that. So, got a high level. We are a veteran-owned and operated company. Our president is ex-Navy intelligence and CIA, so we've got some really good background in our company as far as the information we're going to be presenting to you. What we're going to be talking about today is, are you still buying the myth? And that is that, is the antivirus software I'm buying, does it really protect me from anything? And does it matter what I'm running? It does to a degree, but not from what you think it does. So we're gonna go on here for a second and talk about this. What is the myth? And that is, the myth is really good antivirus product will protect me from hackers. Uh, Actually, that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm going to talk about what's really happening and why this is not true. Hackers are not really going after, it's not like the old show we grew up with in the days, hackers, where they're sitting in rooms and hacking networks and VPNs, and that's very, that kind of espionage kind of feel. Well, they're hacking people. It's a business, and people are the number one attack vector. Right now, according to IBM, the two most popular ways, and they're very much intertwined, is they come in through phishing, which is email phishing, where they pretend to be someone they're not, and they use that information to steal your credentials. So it's not necessarily getting into your computer, they're hacking into your services and then taking over your computers through your services. So phishing and credential theft are basically responsible for 94% of cybercrime right now. 94%. 9 out of 10 originate with phishing. That's a crazy number. The big Change Healthcare event, that was United Healthcare, that happened, came down to one person in the organization not using multi-factor authentication who was hacked. And over time, they got in that hack compromised 250 million people's health records, as well as cost the company nearly $1 billion. So one person can jeopardize an entire multi-billion-dollar company. So it doesn't matter if you're small, big, doesn't matter if you're 1, 5, 10, 25, 2,500. You're a target, and you have a target on your back, and they'll do or take from you whatever they can. So let's talk about what's happening. Let's kind of go back a little bit. In 18, by the way, these numbers are represented in these are thousands. So when you see 200, that's 200,000. The dark blue or purple is the number of attacks per year. And the lighter amount, this light blue, this is the average remediation cost, what it costs to pay the hacker or retrieve the data back and that kind of thing, and what it costs the business to lose that time in that business. So back in 18, when this really started becoming a major issue, we saw about 165, 170,000 attacks, and the average remediation cost was between $3,000 and $5,000. All right, very small, very, and it really it wasn't really. It was starting to make some headlines, but it really wasn't costing businesses a whole lot. Now, what happened in 2018 to 19 is that hackers realized that this was very lucrative. So we saw the number of attacks go down, but they started going after bigger targets. But look at the remediation costs. They realize they can start asking for more money. So the remediation cost has now actually gone up by 5 times. The average remediation cost is now about $85,000 per incident, and up from five. So that's a huge difference. Then we go into 2020. Now we have a new thing happening. They're getting into the computer systems, but they're not making them. They're not just saying, "Oh, we've encrypted your information and pay us. We'll give you a key to unlock it." Now they're getting in and not letting you know they're there, and they're copying your data. They're stealing it. So now you have another. We call this a double-edged sword. Now you got another factor. So they're they're learning that basically people can put their data back. People are starting to back up more. But the problem is now they realize they can hold them hostage over compliance because that information is worth something. And if they are in a situation where they are regulated by HIPAA or personal information laws like California, Texas, New York have, now you kind of have a situation where if that information was stolen from you, you are now open to liability, compliance fines, and third-party liability lawsuits. And they know that. So now the information becomes worth selling and it becomes worth ransoming. So now you have to worry about paying just to keep your information from being leaked. So this is that double-edged sword. So here we see attacks stay about the same within about 10,000 or so. But look again, the remediation costs have now doubled, and we are now up around $185,000 per incident to remediate an average ransomware event. Again, this is really big. So we're seeing success again. They're seeing that there's not any way to really stop it. We're seeing events go up in 2021 with these new vectors. We're seeing them go after backups now. So now they're in there. Now they're looking for your backups to disable, delete them, and then ransom you. So now we're seeing the ransoms go up again, and the ransoms have now topped 400,000 per incident. So we're seeing that's the cost of losing business, paying the ransom, the whole overall cost of remediating the solution. In 2022, this amount, for the first time ever, goes up just shy of $1 million. And the amount of attacks triples because they are seeing such success. They're going after every target they can. They are now organizing and going after it like a business. It's not individuals. These are people acting in unison. And we see the emergence of something called ransomware as a service. That means that somebody, let's say you are an employee of a construction company and you feel you've been screwed or wronged, and you just happen to have a password into the server that never got shut off, or you know somebody else's password. Well, you contact these hackers and say, well, I've got access to the system, and they look at it and they go, okay, that's worth, we think we can ransom, $200,000 from that, and they split the ransom with that sponsor. But the ransomware as a service company has a whole team of hundreds of professional hackers that go after and they utilize their resources and they split the ransom. And this is becoming the thing now. It is a business. They are businesses being actually employed by disgruntled employees, people that have access or may have stumbled across access through hacking, a number of different ways. The numbers for 2023 that were just released they're basically released through IBM. They're not in these numbers, but I'll give them to you, are now up to, if not internationally, $5 million. That's internationally. In America, in the US, it is double that, just under 10 million on the average cost. That's according to IBM's cyber threat unit. That is crazy numbers. That's a factor rising by 10 in 1 year. So it is getting bad. We are having to really focus. I've gone to so many junkets from FBI and Homeland and IBM and you name it. And our biggest thing comes into is hackers are the things they're going, or end users are the people they're going after. How do we protect them? It's not their computers necessarily. It is the people themselves. And the people are too busy trying to make a living, multitasking, doing their jobs, that they're not paying attention to simple things that end up jeopardizing their security, that end up becoming a problem, a hack, a business loss. And the problem is it's costing people their businesses. So let's talk about what the financial impact is. So I talked about business email compromise being the number one cause. And you can see here, according to Statista, it is the number one cause of in way they get into companies, and no matter what size. And they predict, by the way, these numbers here, these are worldwide numbers, and these numbers are in trillions of dollars. You can see right here, trillion US dollars worldwide. Right now, in this year, in 2024, they anticipate this being around $14.5 trillion in cyber loss. Look at 2027. They see that going up by another 10 trillion. We are talking about almost equal to the national US debt in cyber loss. They do not see this going down anytime soon. So the only thing you can do is find better ways to protect yourself. And our company is specialized in finding enterprise solutions we've worked with over the last 30 years and bringing it down into basically the small guy, to where it doesn't matter if you're 1, 5, 10 people, will license it to you, the same kind of coverage and protections that the big companies have. So why does an antivirus protect you from hackers? Why is that the myth? One, antivirus software only primarily focuses on detecting and removing malicious software that it knows about. We teach it things based off what we already know. So it can't protect you against zero-day threats and some of the things we're going to talk about here that it doesn't know about. It can only teach you or protect you against things it does. So zero-day exploits, and you might have seen these come out from, Microsoft releases an update, or Chrome does, and it says fix zero-day exploit or zero-day issue this. Zero-day is a term for a problem that they don't have an answer to. In other words, every software, doesn't matter if it's Firefox, Chrome, QuickBooks, Windows, Mac, they all have zero-day exploits. Those are bugs in their software that they don't know how to fix, that they don't have an answer to. Hackers find these, they exploit them, and when they start seeing these in the open, then the manufacturers start looking for ways to patch it, fix it, and deal with it because they see it being exploited. That's why it's so important to keep your machines up to date and keep your Windows and your Mac machines and everything up to date, is because those updates protect against those zero-day threats. Polymorphic malware is a different type of malware that comes in, and when it loads onto your computer, it not only puts itself in one place, it will put itself in 5 or 6 different places. And as you find it and delete it, it has ways of regenerating itself under a different name. That's why they call it polymorphic, and it basically will implant itself somewhere else on your system in a different name, and it has background process that checks to see if those are deleted. If it's deleted, it creates another instance of itself somewhere else. So it basically reinvents itself every time we find it. That's called polymorphic malware. Now, social engineering, you've heard this term used, is basically using things like phishing, credentials theft, Facebook, social media, in order to get information from you, to sensitive information, passwords, emails, login information, to basically compromise your identity. Antivirus has no way to protect against this. VPNs do not protect against this. That's absolute the biggest load of crap. You've seen Nord say, we protect you from hackers. All VPNs do is hide your traffic from everybody who's on that local network. It doesn't actually do anything to protect you from an actual hacker stealing your credentials. That's it's very bad advertising, and it's just not true. So we in our area, hackers see people just using antivirus as a hello, you're my victim now. 94% of hackers just really blow right by that kind of security. That's no security. But you can see by implementing email spam filters, patching your systems, ad blockers, training, we can significantly reduce your risk of being caught by these kind of scams, these kind of hackers. It is not just this alone, it's a combination of things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Those of you who use services like Office, OneDrive, Dropbox, Box, and G Suite, G Drive, and you think that these things are backup services, and they actually, OneDrive is now promoting itself as a backup service. It is not. The reason why it's not as a backup is a snapshot. In other words, it goes in and takes a snapshot of your system at that given day and time. It records it somewhere where it's safe, stores it there, and then disconnects from your system so it can't be touched. That's a true backup. These systems are connected to your drive at all times. OneDrive is connected in, Dropbox is connected to your computer when you're online, which means that if you can see it, so can hackers. They can encrypt that information, and they do every day just as easily as they can anything that sits on your hard drive. All right. All that is are file sharing services. That's what those are. That's what they're made for. That's what their inherent purpose is. And they are also another way to spread those things. So, to give you a good example, we had an attorney who used Apple at home, opened up an infected Adobe PDF, and didn't have anything happen to him on his Apple because the virus was written for Windows. Well, he took that same PDF and put it in his Dropbox for his secretary at work because he used Dropbox against the company's policy. His secretary opened it on her Windows machine, infected her machine, and infected his machine at the office with both use Windows. And within an hour, their machines were encrypted and locked. Okay. That's what I mean by the danger of file sharing services. And Office, OneDrive, Dropbox, G Drive, these are all file sharing services. They are not backup services. They are a great way to correlate files between devices, but they are not a backup service. And they are every bit affected by that. And these numbers are very old, but the purpose of this slide is to tell you that to establish the difference between backup and file sharing. Now, how hackers get in? How do hackers hack you? Hackers hack you through a number of different ways. Phishing emails we've talked about. That's where they're pretending to be someone they aren't. Email that can be pretend to be Office, Google, your bank, an airline, Netflix. You click on the link in the email, it goes to a site that looks like it, but they own it. It's obviously not the site. You start putting in your credentials and nothing works. So you put in another credential. That doesn't work. By the time you're done and you realize that you're in a place where you shouldn't be, you've already used 3 or 4 different password sets. These hackers have all recorded it and they're already starting to hit everything you own. What you need to realize is your stuff is already on the dark web. There's no such thing as, am I there or am I not? No, you're there. If you own a cell phone in this world right now, all 3 of the carriers have been compromised at least 3 times. That means they have your address, your social security number, your phone number, where you live. All that stuff is out there. Okay. What we're going to talk about is how they're using that against you in order to get into your life. So, clickbait pop-ups. You've seen things pop up in the corner that look like things they're not. It'll come up and say, Norton detected a virus. McAfee detected something. Or Buzz, when Microsoft detected a virus on your system, click here to fix it or call this number. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, don't click those things. Don't call those numbers. All that is just BS driven by a web browser. They are web browser pop-ups designed to look like system pop-ups. And if you look closely, you will see they say Microsoft Edge at the top of the window or Microsoft Chrome. And that's because they are driven by the browser. And they are using a zero-day exploit to push that out to you through clickbait pop-ups. Now, another way they do this is by taking over your screen. You hit a website that's infected, and all of a sudden your screen gets taken over. It says, you've been infected by a virus. Don't hit Control-Alt-Delete. Don't reboot your machine. Call this number right away. We'll help you. Okay. Exactly. They're telling you exactly what to do to fix it rather than they're telling you what not to do. But those are the very things that you do to fix it. You ever find yourself in a situation like this? I'm going to give you real quick advice. If you are in Windows, Control-Alt-Delete. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's taking up the whole screen or not. You are not infected. This is a presentation to fool you. Don't click anywhere in this screen. Control-Alt-Delete. A screen will pop up. It will ask you if you want. It will give you some choices. Choose Task Manager. Task Manager will bring up a list of a little box with everything running on your system. Choose the browsers. If you're using Chrome, select Chrome. If you're using Edge, select Edge or Firefox and hit end task. All right. When you do that, you will find all this stuff disappears instantly. Okay. Kill all the browser processes and it will just go away. The next time you open your browser, it's going to ask you, do you want to restore the previous session? Say no. Otherwise, you'll bring everything you just got rid of right back. And you probably will never see it again at that point. I would highly recommend you go in and clear your browser cache to make sure you get any elements of that off. And if you were on a website that you hit when this happened, I certainly would not go back to that website. If you know whose website it is and you know who owns it, I would definitely report it to them and let them know what's going on. Okay. So that is a way of being infected as well. URL phishing. A lot of people don't realize that when you look at the ads when you do a Google search, and I go do a Google search for like Geek Squad, okay? There are hackers that are buying those keywords. So the first 5 or 6 results that show up on a Google or a Bing search are not actual search results. They are ads. People are buying those spaces and hackers do it too. Okay. So don't just ignore those things. Ignore the sponsored by, the paid ad, scroll down the page a little further and you will see the actual search results come up. All right. Hackers are not stupid. They are buying ads for people looking for IT support, for people looking for help, people looking for cybersecurity, and they are anything but. And they are posing as these people to hack into your systems. So very, very carefully, make sure you understand that through Google results and URL phishing is also where they buy domains that are very similar to something you're looking for. So let's say you're typing in Google, but you type in one too many G's or one too many O's or one too many L's, and then you land on a site that says, oh, you're infected. They buy these domains in the hope that you're going to mistype and misspell and you land on their page and you will click on these things. And believe it or not, that's a very common thing that happens. So those are the 4 examples of probably the most prominent ways that they steal or get into your life. A fifth one that we're seeing now is because they have gotten into the cell phone market more, is they are texting, pretending to be your bank, saying that we found fraudulent transactions, call this number or respond to this and yes or no. And then you do, and it says, I'm sorry, please call us immediately. All right. These are hackers posing as your bank. My parents were just taken in by something like this literally a month ago, and they called me because they had asked for their bank password, and I said, "Nope, no. Did you give it to them?" And said, "Well, yeah, it's our bank." And I said, "No, it's not your bank." I said, "Hang up with them. Is your bank in town?" Yes. I said, "Get in the car, bring your phone, and go to your bank." By the time they got there, within this hour, this whole thing happened. Somebody was already trying to transfer $25,000 out of their account. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If you get caught in one of these schemes and you authorize a transaction or give somebody information that leads them into your bank account, that is not covered by FDIC. You will not get that money back because you authorized it. You spoke to the person and gave them permission. That does not fall under fraud guidelines, and you will never see that money again. So be very, very careful. You exercise zero trust. If you get an email, if you get a text, anything that talks about your bank or passwords or things that you should need to click on in that link to do something, do not trust the source. Go to the actual thing itself. UPS, your bank, Netflix, Office, whatever it may be. Go there in a browser on a system you trust, log in and see if it's true. Okay? Do not trust anything in the actual notification you're receiving, the link or the text or the phone number. Don't trust any of it. All right. They use this information hoping you're busy, distracted. It's very realistic looking. They now use AI they basically understand that their voice is a giveaway. Most of these guys are in foreign countries and they have very heavy accents. So now they use an AI chatbot where they simply just type in what they want to say and the AI bot speaks back to the person in very normal English. And you think you're talking to somebody in your area. I've actually seen one of these. It sounded like it was a good old boy from Virginia, and it was very convincing. So they don't sound like the foreigners who they are, and they use AI to pretend to be people they aren't. A lot of times these things, these phishing emails and things can come from your friends. We had a chain supply attack come to us 2 weeks ago from one of the companies we were working on, not on a cybersecurity deal, but on an AI project. And it came from the president of the company. And it was a real email from them, but they had been hacked and they were sending out hacked emails. In other words, emails that led to things that could compromise. That's called a chain supply attack. And they were doing that to everybody in her mailbox. Right after we got these, we got an email back, literally within a couple hours saying, "Oh, you've been hacked, and you need to please ignore these." Well, a couple people had already gotten into it and had problems, and it was a very sophisticated attack from China, but a lot of other people didn't get around to it. But they're banking on the fact that you're going to recognize brand names, you're going to see people you recognize, that it's going to be realistic, and then you're going to be busy and distracted, not pay attention, and click on something you should and do something you should. Okay, they're banking on that. Then they use the browser exploits. Your system may be a little out of date. Maybe some of your software is unpatched. Maybe you have very terrible, crappy protection on your system, and any combination of those things, and they've got you. Now they're in your system, and now they're just sitting there waiting to see how they can hurt you the most. How can I hurt this guy the most? How much can I steal from him? How much is his information worth? Okay, that's what it becomes. And then when they know what they need, then they strike and it becomes a problem. Now, a lot of you don't know this, but right now, cell phone devices are becoming one of the biggest problems in America. There are 1,000 more mobile devices, tablets, phones, Chromebooks connecting to the web than there are actual computers. Okay. And we use these to conduct our everyday life. All right. We all use cell phones. Now, I don't know about you, but I have my cell phone has access to my business account, it has access to my personal account, it has access to my business email, my personal email, my cameras at my house, a lot of things like that. So my cars, both of my cars have apps on here that allow me to remote start them and unlock my doors and do things like that. Things for my house, like my doorbell. Only put on your phones what you need. Make sure you have biometrics enabled on your phones and a good PIN, and your phone is not left out in the open. Also, make sure that you enable the option on your phone that if your phone is logged into wrong more than 3 times, that it locks the device. Because what will happen is the reason why you don't want to leave your phone unattended is one, they can do SIM swapping or SIM cloning. That's if you don't know what a SIM is, it's a small chip goes in your phone, usually in the top of the side. It is the chip that identifies your phone to the mobile network and locks in your number. These cards can be quickly removed and cloned within a minute. So if you leave your phone laying around somewhere on a desk, somewhere at a job, and somebody has ill intention, they can simply use a little tool, comes with every phone. It just pushes in, it pops the SIM card out. They can take your card out, clone it in less than a minute, put it right back in again, slide it in. You'd never know. And now every call, every text, everything you send to your phone now goes to them too. A perfect copy. And they can respond to it like it was you. They can request password changes, respond to MFA, and they can do that as you. So very important that you not only watch what you install on your phone, don't put games, don't put anything on your phone you don't need, but make sure your phone is in your possession and in your control at all times. Okay? This is happening with Chase right now. Chase is having SIM swaps like this responsible for hundreds of thousands of dollars of loss, and they are not paying the people back because they're saying that your phone is your responsibility. If you can't take care of it, that's your problem, not ours. That's not fraud. So they are rolling that back on the people themselves. Very, very important. It is a key to the kingdom of your life. So be very careful with your phone. All right. Now, if in the instance you do get hacked, okay, most companies have not planned for this event and they can actually be put out of business within a few months. In fact, national statistics show us that 86% of businesses that are small businesses, I'm talking about businesses under 25 employees that actually get hacked, aren't prepared. They don't have valid backups, can't pay the ransom, they find themselves out of business within a few months. True statistic. Others have backups of their data. They can restore it, put it back, but what they haven't planned for is the hacker selling their information, and now it becomes a liability and compliance problem. So if you are keeping anybody's personal information, addresses, social, it doesn't have to be just social, it could be address information, could be a PIN code for their house because you're doing a construction project for that. Those are all liabilities that become a third party liability for you because if somebody attacks that person with the information they stole from you, you are liable. You now become a third party liability to a lawsuit. Cyber insurance, some have it, some don't, but they believe they're covered. The fact is that cyber insurance is covering less and less and has more loopholes in it because these guys lost their butt in the first 5 years they did business, and they have been bleeding since trying to figure out how to patch the holes. And how the holes are, these are common reasons claims are not paid. And I will tell you, they use these reasons. They're in almost every single contract, and these are reasons they use not to pay. One, your company must prove that employees attend a cybersecurity awareness program. That's like what we're doing right now with you, is we are making you aware this is a cybersecurity awareness program. The difference is that, like for instance, in the services Jeff is going to make available to you later, those are actually part of a program where we show proof you took it, you have certification of it, and that way, if anything, if there's ever any doubt about it, there's actually proof you took a course, you passed it, and you can show that to your company. Companies also must prove that you have a proactive security policy in place. In other words, that you're not just that you're using every precaution available to you for your trade and that it is actively enforced. If it's determined the breach was by a state actor or affiliated with a state actor. What do I mean by that? Like, for instance, the chain supply attack that hit us about 3 weeks ago was it was connected to the CCP, or whatever the initiation is for the Communist Chinese Party. I think it's the CCP. Anyway, it was linked back to them, and we were able to stop it within 10 minutes, didn't experience any loss. We detected it, saw it, killed it, and nothing was stolen. But if they had gotten in, if they had stolen anything, if there was an actual event, cyber insurance wouldn't have covered it because that's considered an act of terrorism because it's a state actor or it's affiliated with a state actor. They have now added clauses that state this as a terrorism event, and they will not pay it. The lastly is the one that if the breach was caused by a company contractor, employee, or ex-employee. So if we find out you had a disgruntled employee that was part of this, a contractor, a current employee, any way involved or did something they shouldn't have done, like leak credentials, not going to pay. These are all reasons insurance companies refuse to pay. So we've talked about how they get in. We've talked about what the situation is. We've talked about insurance companies, why they pay, why they don't pay. These all add to a financial impact to your business, income, and possibly the loss of your entire business. Now, we're going to take time for questions in just a few minutes. We're going to kind of move this section to the back. Apologize, this is on the slide, but Jeff, I'm going to move this to the back if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine, Robert.
Okay. What does a complete cybersecurity solution looks like? Okay, we use AI. That means artificial intelligence to monitor, to see things that aren't obviously already thought of. In other words, it allows us to account for things we don't know about. We monitor and train. So we monitor 24/7. We provide training to the employees, everybody in the company, and we keep track of that to make sure you guys are up to speed on what's going on, methods people use, and we make you aware and we train you. And it's not hard. We actually have really easy, short 3-minute things on each topic, and we ask you a simple question to make sure you were paying attention. But we do new trainings every month. We put out 2 or 3 new ones that talk about different aspects: password management, mobile devices, how to properly keep your machine updated, things like that. We manage the PC, Apple or Mac. We fully automate the updates, the optimization. We make sure it's got all the security patches it needs, and we keep it compliant. We do cloud backups. What that means is we have a cloud-based system. Our data center for our backup is in Oregon. It's not, we don't use any foreign countries like that for, we don't do anything. We don't outsource anything outside the US. We're entirely 100% US based. So your cloud backup, our backup software connects to our data center, snaps a copy of that data to the data center, disconnects, and it can't be touched. It's what's called persistent storage. Persistent storage cannot be touched by hackers from the device. It's unattachable. They can't see it, they can't delete it, they can't manipulate it. Okay? So your backups are safe from hackers. We manage the Office 365 environment, what we call Microsoft 365 now, or your Google environment. Our system plugs right in and we're able to see suspicious logins. We're able to see files that are shared that shouldn't be. We're able to see security footprint, make sure MFA is not just enabled but enforced. And we can see inactive accounts. There's a whole array of things we look out for, and we score it to keep you up in the, we score it to make sure we keep you compliant in those areas and as safe as possible. The cybersecurity training I talked about, we do it for the employees, and we even have a manager access so the manager can see everything going on in their environment. So if you're a construction company with 10 employees and you want to see if your guys did their cyber training this month, or how many phishing emails they're getting, how many bad emails, it even includes email filtering. So we basically tap in at the cloud level with Microsoft and Google, and we look for phishing emails and spam, and we get that out of your mailbox before it even gets there. And if it's considered dangerous, we sandbox it. We quarantine it. We have a safe place for you to go look at it online and make sure that it's safe. It's something you know about, and if you can either delete it or approve it at that point, and it will allow it through or disallow it based on what your action is. But anything we deem as highly suspicious, we actually quarantine and keep out of your system for you. And we monitor all this 24/7. We have what's called a SOC, a Security Operations Center. It's right here in the US. We monitor this 24/7. If we see things, we're going to be asking you, what's going on? What's happening? Now, to give you an idea what that looks like to us, this is a good example. Okay. We have a screen we log into and it monitors all these things for us: phishing, cloud posture, external footprint. We even monitor your email addresses on the dark web, and we'll tell you when your data, like new instances of your data being found, we'll tell you where it's being found, what was compromised. In other words, email password combinations that were compromised. Was a social security number compromised? If so, what it was. We actually reveal that information to you so you can make sure that those password combinations are not in effect anywhere. Okay. We do the email protection I just talked about. We monitor your endpoint security. We even provide a secure browser plugin that protects you from infected websites, that plugs right into Chrome and Edge, and it provides a browser protection layer. Security awareness training. And the one other thing we'd even talk about is we do what's called phishing simulation. Our company will actually send you emails pretending to be a hacker. And if we catch you clicking on something you shouldn't, we're going to send you to our site that says, oops, sorry, you clicked on something you shouldn't. This is what you should have done for this, and you should not have trusted this. And we teach you in real time. So not only are we making you do the awareness classes, which teach you about what you should and shouldn't do, but we also constantly make sure you're aware. We do what we call on-the-job training. And that's to make sure that you're taking what you've learned and applying it in your everyday life. We teach you to exercise zero trust so you don't have to worry about being that one person to let that person in. Now, the nice thing from a company standpoint is we look at all these things and we create a security score. So we look at your business type and we say, okay, this is where you should be, but this is where your company is scoring. So our goal as a cybersecurity company is to get you in this green side. That green side means that we've covered our butts, we've covered your butts, and we know that we're doing a good job. Okay? This is what we see, what our guys see, and they look at all these aspects. When we detected this chain supply attack, when those credentials got stolen by that Chinese actor, we detected the logins from China, the Philippines, some places in the States. We saw those logins within minutes, and we were able to lock that account out and prevent them from stealing anything. We're seeing that in real time. So we're able to act within almost instantly to prevent those kind of things. And that's what you get with our service. Now, There is actually a demo. This is not the page. This is our general thing that we do. This is what it looks like for us. But this form, Jeff, you have a version of this form and a link you're going to share out with everybody later. It'll be on the recorded video. Make sure you have it on there. And basically just schedule a demo with us. And what that demo will do is that demo, and I'm back to a blank screen, so it's supposed to be like that. I'm going to go ahead and just leave that way for right now. What that demo will do was schedule a time with us to show you the product, talk about how many people you have. We'll get you a quote right then. And if you decide to do it, there's no contracts, no setup fees. We'll get you a quote over you can accept. You pay it, and it basically is you'll get an email with everything you need to start right away. All you do is download it. We activate everything remotely, and within 24 hours, you'll be up and running. And we will do one session with whoever the admin is within your company that has admin access to your Office 365 or your Google environment, so we can get the cloud to cloud integration set up to do your protection on the cloud side. That's it. It's very quick and easy. We're going to go ahead and stop recording at this point because we're going to start taking questions. We usually don't do the Q&A session in the recordings for copyright purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, Jeff, and let's go ahead and move on to questions after that, okay?
Well, Robert, thank you so much. I do want to take just a moment to thank Robert for his time today here and to let